Hi everybody, it's May 6, 2025. It's early in the morning, and I just wanted to clarify something. People have contacted me about the passing of Rainetta Jones. Rainetta, Rainetta Jones is not Renata of God is Our Protector. They're two different people, and let me show you the website or the YouTube channel of the female that passed away. This is her here. She was 46 years old and was frequently in a live chat or a chat of super soldiers. So I don't really know anything about her. I didn't follow her. So I know that some of my subscribers did and alerted me to her passing. Evidently, she was on vacation or traveling in Arizona and had some kind of a medical I, I don't know if she had a seizure or a heart attack or something. Some people have said that she was on multiple different types of medication that may have interacted with each other, and obviously as a targeted person, that could be just plausible deniability, but they can certainly use that to harm you further because almost all the pharmaceutical drugs contain heavy metals. So then I wanted to mention, let's see, we've got a couple of responses from, I've been busy with Chatgpt tonight. Yes, I'm having a little affair with Chatgpt on how to write cease and desist letters and FOIA requests for various individuals. Let me see. So now I received a response. And this was on Robert's testimony that I posted earlier today. And he goes on to say, when you read the letter written by our Polish TI friend, was being attacked by Jews, you are correct in your assumption that mostly nobody knows what dues stand for or its meaning. However, it could easily be been mistaken as a typo. And maybe he meant Jews, making him sound crazier than dues. Even dues are crazy enough, but bringing up an interesting fact that many conspiracy theorists blame Jews, the world's oldest tribe whose culture has contributed to much written history and the environmental industry. People don't realize Jesuits rule also around the world. Found a lot of these stalkers around me have Catholic Italian roots, even though Freemasons are not considered to be of any religious or ethnic order. Freemasonry, a society of Jesus, has to run by some ethnic religious group, as the word gladio derived from Italian language. Most cops, politicians, and county employees, at least here, are all part of the Catholic mob. This federal slush fund feeding our gang stalking phenomenon is likely operating through the Jesuit Society of Jesus, Freemasons, where there are large amounts of money being doled out. You'll likely find Sicilian Italian Mafia. Tell me if it's a wrong assumption. Really, my belief, it's not the Mormons, Muslims, or the Jews. Okay, so he then sent me another correspondence that he had some typos. He said, yeah, it's much written in history and entertainment industry. He said, he said, it's not the environmental industry. No, it's not. It's the entertainment industry. Okay, so, well, I have something to say about the Sicilian Italian Mafia, okay? So, I'm part Italian. I grew up in an Italian community. And I dated a guy for 6+ years, whose family was not only Italian, but they were part of that alleged mafia, if you want to call it that. I guess they were kind of well known in the neighborhood, and well known enough that they would be spoken about when you listen to those old TV shows about the mob. Okay, so I know a little bit about it, what they're about and stuff, and it's not just the Italian mafia. Okay, there are gangs, there are Hispanic mafia, mafia everywhere. Okay, now back in the day, that Italian mafia, those mob guys, most of them are gone. The ones that have survived, they're in their 70s and 80s. Some of them are still in prison. Did they have children and maybe pass down the generational curse, I'll call it? Yes and no. Some of them didn't have sons. And some of their sons now would also be like in their 60s, sometimes 70s, or gone, you know, unalived, gone, or gotten completely out of it, and some of them have YouTube channels talking about it, that they're not involved in it anymore. So I'm not sure about that anymore. I think that it's morphed into various groups around the country, the intel agencies and stuff, and you don't hear about the mafia anymore. At least I don't. And again, for the reasons that I just stated above, that the big guys back in the day, like in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, they're gone. If they had children, some of their children didn't want to get involved. They were totally against it, and some of them are gone. So I don't know about it. I don't know about that. However, I think you're onto something about the Catholicism, because I'll tell you right now that down the block from where I live, they've got the Christian Appalachian Project, and I know damn well that they're stalking me. I know very well that they're involved. They drive by 25 times a day, even though there's no camp open. I don't know what the hell they do down there during the week. I have no idea. They're always doing construction or something. They must have a lot of money to do construction when nobody's actually doing anything down there. So anyway, oh, do you see my phone is vibrating suddenly? So, you know, again, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking that there are so many nationalities involved. And of course, at the very top are I call them deletes. You know, people call them elites. I don't know why anybody calls them elites. There's nothing elite about them. There's absolutely nothing elite about them. Oh, because they have a lot of money? Because they have a lot of power? Because they're control freaks? Because they're psychopaths and malignant narcissists? Okay, I guess that calls them elite. I don't know. There's nothing elite about them. Let's see. So I asked Chatgpt, because, you know, it's so smart that it actually labeled me, called me a person of interest. I don't think I'm all that interesting these days. I think my life is so boring. I do the same stupid stuff all day long, every day. So anyway, so I asked ChatGPT, what is a person of interest? Well, a person of interest is a loosely defined term used by law enforcement to describe someone who is, and this is in bold print, not formally charged or arrested, but who may have information relevant to a criminal investigation or potentially be involved in it. Well, what I say to that is, hey, if you think I have information relevant to a criminal investigation, why don't you just damn ask me? Just ask. Ask. Simple. Okay, so what is a person of interest? The term is not a legal classification, and that's in bold print. The term is not a legal classification like a suspect or a witness, but it's commonly used in law enforcement and media. So a person of interest may be someone law enforcement wants to question. Okay, ask me. Someone present near the scene of a crime. Again, ask me. someone with a known connection to a victim or a suspect. Well, yes, I do have a known connection to a victim. Me. Someone under surveillance in a sensitive or ongoing investigation. Well, I'm definitely under surveillance. So what's the ongoing investigation? Oh, that's right. You want to question me about something, but you're too much of a weenie to ask me face to face. That's why. So it's ongoing because you're so friggin' scared. You've got to concoct something. You won't formally charge me or something. You can't arrest me because I haven't committed a crime. I have no information relative to a criminal investigation, but if I do, ask. So how does someone become a person of interest? Well, a person may be labeled a person of interest when, 1, they are linked circumstantially to a crime, like through a location, a communication, a relationship. So that could be, so let's say you're on a mailing list, and maybe one of those people that are on the same mailing list as you are under investigation, but you're on the mailing list even though you don't know who they are, never met them, never spoke to them. You're on a mailing list. Okay, so these losers have to link you to someone that you don't even know. Okay? Tips, witness statements, or evidence raise questions about their involvement. Oh, you mean like rat snitch tips? If you see something, say something. Well, I've reported the stuff that I see, and I've been saying it. Nobody's investigating my claims against bona fide recorded behavior. Bona fide felony crimes. Felony stalking. Vandalism, trespassing. Nobody's investigated those. Okay. So behavior or activity that triggers suspicion, such as conflicting stories or attempts to avoid law enforcement. I'm a little confused here. I don't know. You know, when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, a home I lived in for 30 years as the original owner, the Manalapan Police Department actually had the audacity to say that I filed too many incident reports over 30 years. And some of the ones that I filed were because I was a witness to a crime, like a car accident or whatever. Yes. Or how about when animals were dumped at my feral cat colony and the dog handler cop came and helped me get those cats while his dog waited patiently in the back of his vehicle. Do you think that's suspicious? Oh my goodness. Okay, so behavior or activity that triggers suspicion, such as conflicting stories or attempts to avoid law enforcement. If anybody has a question about a conflicting story, ask. Don't be little weenie boys. Don't go behind my back. Don't go combing through my mail, my mailbox, my trash can. Just ask. Ask. Okay. Number 4, analytical databases, surveillance, or intelligence reports. Flag them for further review. Okay. Well, we all know about the predictive policing, right? We've discussed that on my channel about predictive, you know, how these algorithms that are created by these psychopaths are deliberately set up to tag innocent people because it's job security. It's for profit. There is not enough crime in the United States, so they have to create it. So this designation can happen without a person's knowledge, especially in intelligence or national security context. You know, like when you FOIA request my favorite Bureau of Investigation, you receive a response back that says, well, we cannot confirm or deny that you're in any database or whatever under investigation in the name of national security. So who makes this determination? Well, any law enforcement agency or government investigative body can classify someone as a person of interest. Local police departments, county sheriffs, state police, or bureaus. I can't even say investigation. Bureau of Instigation. Bureaus of Instigation. Federal agencies like my favorite Bureau of Instigation. Criminal or counterintelligence cases. DEA, drug-related. Well, forget about that. Nah. No. ATF, firearms, explosives. Yes, I have reported that my criminal neighbors have exploded IEDs on my driveway. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, National Security Terrorism. Yeah, right. They're doing a great job fighting domestic terrorism while they're creating it. The IRS, financial crimes. Yeah, there are financial crimes against me. The decision is internal. It's based on investigative strategy. It's a strategy. They're strategizing. And it's not typically subject to any judicial oversight. What? It's typically not subject to judicial oversight, unless it leads to warrants or formal charges. And of course, you know, those warrants, those are fake FISA warrants too. They're signed under the table by a corrupt judge, right? We already know that. So why does it matter? Being labeled a person of interest can have serious reputational consequences even without charges. Oh, you mean like denial of veterinary services? How about denial of landscaping services? How about denial of a real investigation? Like when people stuff skinned dead animals in your mailbox, which is a federal crime. It may lead to surveillance, questioning, or subpoenas. Well, I'm waiting for you to question me because I'll tell you straight flat out. Just ask. In high-profile cases, the media may amplify the label, which can be misleading or stigmatizing. Would you like to know what legal recourse or protections a person of interest has? I said, of course. Yes. So a person of interest, even though not formally charged, still has important legal rights and protections, and in some cases recourse if the rights are violated. However, these protections can be limited or murky depending on the context of the investigation. So what are the legal rights of a person of interest? Even without being arrested or charged, a person of interest has constitutional rights guaranteed to everyone in the U.S. So there's the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent. I'm having a problem with that. You are not required to answer questions from law enforcement. But that's okay. Nobody asks me any questions anyway. You can refuse to speak without an attorney present, even if you're not under arrest. The Sixth Amendment, a right to legal counsel, which they deny targeted people, right? Don't they deny us a right to legal counsel because they threaten, coerce, or bribe attorneys, right? Because you're under surveillance and you contact a lawyer, they've got their little weenie rat snitches right behind you calling them, just the way they do that with your real estate agents too, right? So the Sixth Amendment, the right to legal counsel, once formal charges are filed. See, they're not going to file formal charges because then you're entitled to due process and a lawyer. But you can still hire a lawyer proactively at any time during an investigation. Fourth Amendment, it's the protection against unlawful search and seizure. Law enforcement needs a warrant, consent, or a legal justification to search your property or seize your devices. Okay, I'm still waiting for it. But my devices have been seized. They're interfered with. I haven't seen a warrant. I do not consent. And as far as I'm concerned, there is absolutely no legal justification. So then there's the due process right. The 14th Amendment. You're protected from being deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So what are the legal recourses if your rights are violated? If law enforcement oversteps the boundaries during an investigation, you may have recourse. Well, what about the suppression of evidence? Well, I'm going to say, what about the interference of evidence, right? You know, like with my gate that was stolen across the street. And Chris Bowles has the audacity to text me and says, the law told him he can't return my property? Oh, really? That was evidence. You stole my evidence. And whatever law person told you that is interfering with my due process and the suppression of evidence. If investigators violated your Fourth Amendment rights regarding an illegal search or like stealing your evidence, a court may exclude the evidence. Civil rights lawsuit. If you're harassed, surveilled excessively, defamed publicly, or harmed without justification, you may file a civil lawsuit under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 for constitutional violations. Then, of course, there's the defamation claims. If law enforcement or media or your friggin' neighbors portray you as guilty, you can sue them for libel or slander. This may be hard to win unless the falsehood and malice are proven. You know, like when they contact your landscapers who tell you flat out that they were told that I don't pay people or to not work for me. Or how about Noble Land Works? Remember them? Loser neighbors? Eddie Marks confronted him on the county road. Yeah. Defamation. Or well, what about the veterinarian who says, because I'm not friends with her friends and because she doesn't get me? Never met the bitch. Never met her. Never contacted her prior. But what she's doing is she's in violation of what she is hired to do. She is hired to care for animals. And animals have been dumped on my property that needed care. In fact, they were pregnant and had kittens that are now being tormented by criminals that have entered the nonprofit building. So there are defamation claims. If law enforcement or the media or your neighbors portray you as guilty, you may sue them for libel or slander. Freedom of information FOIA requests. You can request records about yourself, though they may be denied or redacted in ongoing investigations. Additional considerations. You may be monitored or surveilled, especially in national security cases, without your knowledge. If you're publicly named as a person of interest, you might face social, financial, or reputational damage, even if you're innocent. Retaining a criminal defense or civil rights attorney early can help protect your rights, challenge improper actions, and shape how you're treated in the investigation. Well, you know, it's a little bit too late, right? Well, and actually, it's never too late. It's never too late to expose these criminals. But this is definitely an outline of what a person of interest, how a person of interest is loosely defined by law enforcement, who generally describes someone who's not formally charged or arrested, but who may have information relevant to a criminal investigation or potentially be involved in it. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I have been surveilled, trespassed, asset stripped, tormented here in Jackson County, Kentucky since the end of May 2019. And I can prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, I have my FOIA requests ready and raring to go. And if anybody else would like a copy of the FOIA requests that were drafted, not mine specifically, but a template, you can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com, because now I have templates for the FOIA requests and cease and desist letters to Homeland Security, Fusion Centers, Sheriff's Department, and anybody else you want to tell them to stop surveilling, trespassing, any government agency, including but not limited to the Attorney General, where you got to copy the Attorney General of your state. And you can also copy the Attorney General. Where did I find it? I just found it here somewhere. Of course, there is the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, at the U.S. Department of Justice. Okay, so after you send all of your FOIA requests and get the information back, hopefully within 5 days here in Kentucky, and if they don't, they're in violation of the FOIA request law, which of course has happened in the past for certain, which is another reason why my Muckrock account, my public Muckrock account, was dismantled, because here in Jackson County, Kentucky, 30, 40, and up to 45 days went by without fulfilling FOIA requests. So that was certainly in violation of the 5-day limit. So anyway, so yes, then there is the Department of Justice. Here you go. And then they have a contact us form. So this is for actually Attorney General Pam Bondi. So let me click on it here. Show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. And you see my phone wiggling? Oh, and I just wanted to say, like a short while ago, I was actually in the Cats building, and their eyes are pretty bad still. I took photos today. But I was in there for maybe about 15 minutes. I came back into my house, and lo and behold, I had no internet connection. I wonder why. Do you want to know why? Somebody was in and out of my house. You know how I could tell? They moved something that was in one place and moved it to another place. So yeah, so they disabled my cameras because they had to disable first the internet connection. So when I walked back into my house, the internet connection took probably about 3 or 4, 5 minutes to reconnect. But fortunately, I took a screenshot of it. But anyway, this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading, and here we discussed sending FOIA requests, cease and desist letters, a response to Robert in Poland, and what is a person of interest. Please leave your comments down below. I look forward to them as always, and I will talk to you tomorrow.